This is Real News Media TV, coverage you can trust. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates. Educators question ministry's data on teacher shortage. Serious questions have been raised about the data used by the Education Ministry to analyze the extent of the teacher shortage for the new school term. President of the Jamaica Association of Principals of Secondary Schools, Linvern Wright, and the President of the Jamaica Teachers Association, Winston Smith, believe the methodology has resulted in an inaccurate assessment. Both associations have warned of chronic teacher shortage for the new term due to mass resignations. However, the ministry responded this week to declare that fewer than 90 teachers have so far tendered their resignations. Mr. Wright argues that the way in which the ministry gathered its information is limited, and this has impacted its conclusions. He said no canvass of school principals had been done by the ministry to get a sense of the extent of the situation.
No canvass really has been done among us as principals, from the ministry standpoint, to say we are not sure how those statistics are going, because really and truly, if you do a canvass among principals about people who have indicated that they want to go, what you don't get, which is really problematic, is that teachers don't send in resignations normally until they are sure about what is going on, so they're going overseas or wherever else they're going. Our problem, is that the minister, in saying that the data she has, we are saying that the data the minister has now cannot be reliable, given the historical experiences I've had. Because we know that anything you do now in the ministry, if you never did some kind of a canvas to get a sense of it, we understand and get a sense of it, an indication of it, and we need to react to that.
JTA President Winston Smith acknowledged that principals have monthly access to the Education Ministry to share this data, but said this does not happen, particularly because much of the information principals have at that time would be anecdotal and not hardcore evidence.
You see, the monthly meeting with the ministry in terms of the JTA would depend on hardcore evidence being presented to us, and that data doesn't necessarily come to us like that, because when we have anecdotal evidence to say that such and such a teacher is making preparation or have left, until we have a resignation in hand, we can't say definitively, in an official capacity, having it at a ministry meeting, to say this teacher has resigned.
Grace Baston, a principal of Campion College, has recommended one method to resolve the impending teacher shortage. She suggested that the Education Ministry should allow teachers who are on leave but willing to work during this period to fill the gaps.
In the past, what would happen is a teacher would apply for vacation. If you are allowed to, after a certain number of years, you can apply for 4 months vacation leave. In the past, what would happen is a teacher would apply for leave and then indicate to the principal, yes, I've got my vacation leave, but I'm willing, as they would say, to work for myself. So they've got leave, but they come back, either in your school or another school, and so they were, in effect, they were paid twice. So the minister said, no, you can't do this. This can't work. You can't be paid twice. It never made sense to me what difference it makes that the money is there to be paid for locum tenens, the person in the place. What difference does it make who the money goes to? But anyway, but to me, that would give us some wiggle room, to address some of this.
Indicom probing police killing of unidentified man. The Independent Commission of Investigations is probing a police fatal shooting of an unidentified man along Waltham Park Road in St. Andrew early Thursday morning. Indicom says the police have stated that 2 officers were traveling along Waltham Park Road when they were alerted by a woman who alleged she was being robbed by a man with a knife. The officers reported that during their intervention, they were attacked by the man with a knife. In response, both officers fired their weapons in the direction of the man. The injured man was transported to the hospital, where he was pronounced dead. Indicom says the officers involved have given initial accounts of the incident to the investigative team and have been notified to provide a statement and attend the office of the commission to be interviewed. The incident scene was processed by Indicom, and the knife and the service firearms of the concerned officers were collected. Meanwhile, the commission is seeking the public's assistance in identifying the deceased, who is of dark complexion, has plaited hair and a birthmark on his left thigh. Jamaicans refused the boarding in Panama urged to come forward. Foreign Affairs Minister Kamina Johnson-Smith is appealing to Jamaicans who were recently refused boarding in Panama to come forward as the government presses the case. Johnson-Smith says complaints have only been received from 2 persons. She says Jamaica has been asked by Panama and the airline in question for more information on the concerns raised by the Jamaicans. As such, she says it is important for affected persons to contact the Foreign Ministry. Some 6 to 9 nationals were denied boarding on their connecting flights by Dutch airline KLM. Last week, Johnson-Smith said the airline was not forthcoming on the reasons for refusal. Since then, she says the Foreign Ministry has written to KLM to request an investigation into the matter. She also disclosed in tweets today that Jamaica made a formal communication to the Panamanian government on Monday and that ministry officials subsequently met with the Panamanian ambassador to Jamaica. Government streamlines online portal for returning resident applications. The government has developed a user-friendly online portal to streamline the application process for Jamaicans living overseas to obtain returning resident status. Minister of State in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Senator Leslie Campbell, in making the disclosure, said that persons can access the application form on the Jamaica Customs Agency's website at www.jacustoms.gov.jm. Jamaica has implemented a user-friendly online portal for those of you that wish to return home. You may visit the Jamaica Customs website and click on the Returning Residents section for more information, he said. He was speaking at the annual ecumenical service of Thanksgiving held on Sunday, August 14, at the Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta, Georgia, in the United States. Additionally, Campbell said that it is now easier for persons to renew their passports via the Passport Immigration and Citizenship Agency's renewal portal at www.pcod.gov.jm. Once the application process is completed, you may opt for your passport to be delivered to you in the United States, he pointed out. Meanwhile, the state minister said that despite the challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic over the past 2 years, the government continues to make strides in various sectors. He cited the increase in the employment rate and the growth in critical areas such as agriculture. The service of Thanksgiving was the third in a series of activities organized by the consulate in Atlanta to celebrate Jamaica's 60th anniversary of independence. It was organized by the Honorary Consul for Jamaica in Atlanta, Dr. Elaine Grant Bryan, in conjunction with the Ebenezer Baptist Church and the Jamaicans and Partners of Georgia. Montague not in favor of sixth form program. The Member of Parliament for Western St. Mary, Robert Montague, is not in favor of the government's decision to extend high school for an additional 2 years under the sixth form pathways program. Mr. Montague also believes that sixth form is a waste of time, especially for gifted students, some of whom he says are forced to attend by their parents. Mr. Montague shared his views on Wednesday while announcing to his constituents that he has approached the Delaware State University in the United States to partner with 2 high schools in St. Mary to offer an Associate of Science degree during the extended high school period.
For the gifted, I have asked the university from Delaware to offer a 2-year first degree program in school. People ask me why I have done it, and them say me mad. Let me explain why. The children of today is 10 times brighter than the children of yesterday. Why should we hold back that child to go to 5th form and go to 6th form? Make sure go to university. And any child that go to 6th form have so much free time on their hand that them can quietly study and do an associate degree. So I have asked Delaware State, I took them to Taki, took them to Arokobesa High to say, start a program. You know what happened in this country? We don't have no specific program for bright people. We have all kind of program for help the man who slow and the man who drop out, but the man who conquer and make it, we don't have no program for them. And just like how Usain Bolt beat the world and Shelley beat the world, we have some bright scholars here in St. Mary.
PNP condemns changes to NHD subsidy policy. Opposition spokesperson on housing and sustainable living, Dr. Floyd Morris is condemning the government's decision to end the interest rate subsidies for certain categories of contributors to the National Housing Trust. Prime Minister Andrew Holness announced in March that the subsidies provided to groups such as public sector workers, persons with disabilities, and those over 55 years old would be discontinued. Yesterday, the NHT circulated a memo confirming that the policy would take effect today. But Morris is describing the move as a most retrograde step, which is demonstrating an insensitivity to the needs of the Jamaican people at this most challenging time. Our civil servants, persons with disabilities, police, and other such categories of contributors to the NHT are deserving of every ounce of subsidy that is provided to them. These are individuals who continue to make selfless sacrifices for our country, and some are amongst the most vulnerable in the society, Morris added. The opposition is urging the government and the Prime Minister to reconsider what it says is an ill-conceived and insensitive policy. In March, when the policy change was first announced, Holness highlighted that income was not considered as an additional criterion for whether a subsidy can be applied to members within a special group or applicants to a particular development. He said the government would change that so that income will be the sole determinant of whether a subsidy is applied. Holness also said all new loans will be subject to a periodic review to determine whether the level of subsidy given at the opening of the loan is still required or whether a greater or lesser subsidy is needed. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates.